Hello dear student, welcome to you all in English class 8th. Today we are going to study chapter 7, the open window, supplementary detail. Writer is H. Munro. So in this chapter there are three major characters, Vera, Mrs. Sabilton and Mr. Frampton Nettle. It's a very funny story. So students, let's we start the summary of the lesson. So summary of the lesson. First, Frampton Nettle's nervousness. Frampton Nettle, he was suffering from the nervous disorder. So Frampton Nettle was suffering from nervousness. He goes to a calm and quiet place in countryside for treatment. Doctor has suggested him to go for the peace and calm place and don't give any stress. Don't be excited. So there he calls on a family friend. There he met a 15-year-old girl named Vera. She was very calm and confident. She told Nettle that her aunt, Mrs. Sabilton, would come downstairs. So Frampton Nettle went one village or one countryside. There he met his family friend, Mrs. Sabilton. When he entered in the Mrs. Sabilton's house, at that time she was preparing or she was doing something in upstairs, and her niece, 13-year-old niece Vera was there. So she introduced herself with Mr. Frampton Nettle, and they started to discussion. So before going to that countryside, her sister, his sister's observation, his sister, Nuttall's sisters had told him that he would meet very few people in the countryside. Before going to countryside, Mr. Frampton Nettle's sister gave him one list of the people because she know that Mr. Nettle did not know anyone in the countryside, but she knew many people, many friends were there, her friends. So she gave him a list and she asked him, whenever you have free time, so you can visit these people's house. They are very friendly with us. And among that, in that list, one name was the Mrs. Sabilton. That's why he visited there. So he would feel very unhappy there and his condition would become worse than before. So she would give him letter of introduction to all the people she knew there. Some of them were quite nice. So before going to countryside, Mr. Nettle's sister gave him a letter of introduction and asked him whenever you feel free, so you can visit this people's house. Otherwise, you will feel they are very unhappy. So he kept that list and went to countryside. At first, he visited Mrs. Sabilton's house. There he met with Vera. Vera and Mr. Nettle was discussing. They were interacting with each other. While Mrs. Sabilton was doing some work in upstairs. Now next, Vera's questions. Vera asking some question to Mr. Nettle. The young girl Vera asked Nettle if he knew many people there. He told her that he did not know anybody. In fact, his sister had visited the place about 4 years ago. Vera asked him, "You know many people here?" So Mr. Nettle said that no, first time I came here, but my sister, she has already visited here 4 years ago. She knew many people here, but I did not know anyone here. I was very new for this place. So Vera understood and decided to make fun of Mr. Nettle. She had given him letter of introduction to some of the people. On being asked, he told Vera that he knew only her aunt's name and address. So Vera asked, " Mrs. Sabilton's my aunt?" So Mr. Nettle said that no, I only know her name. I did not see her by face, or I did not know anything about her family or any other things. So Vera understood he was very new for all the people in the countryside. So she decided to make fun. She know that she can make him fool very easily because he was very new here, and he did not know anyone by face or by their family background. He knows only by the name. So now next, Veda told him a story that was a funny story, and that was a means it's an untrue story. She wanted to make fun of Mr. Nettle. That's why she told him a false story. What story she told? The tragedy. Vera told Nettle that a tragedy had happened in the family about 3 years ago. She started to making him a false story and wanted to make fun of him. So she said that 3 years ago one tragedy happened in our family. So she pointed to a large glass window. It opened on a lawn. It was kept wide open even on an October afternoon. She told that this tragedy is related to this open window. She indicated the finger towards one a large open window. It was adjacent to the lawn. She said even on October month we kept it open. Why? The reason she told that Nettle asked the girls if the tragedy had something to do with the window. The girl told him that it concerned her aunt's husband and two brothers. So she said that the tragedy is related to her aunt's husband and their and two brothers. They had gone out for shooting. He said that one day they went through this window for day shooting. This happened exactly on this day 3 years ago, and she said today exactly the 3 years ago, the same day this tragedy happened. They went out through the window, but they never came back. She said through this window they went with one dog also with them. They went outside from this window for the shooting, and they sank in a grassland. They sank in a marshy grassland there, and they did not come. Even their bodies also did not come at home. It was because they were swallowed up by the wet, spongy ground. Their bodies were never recovered. Said she said the three people and dog, they did not come back from the forest after shooting because they swallowed or they sank in a spongy ground, means marshy ground is there, and they accidentally they sank in there, and even we tried to search their bodies, but we could not discover their bodies also. So this way a false tragic story she Vera told to Mr. Nettle, and it was a false story because she wanted to make fun of him only. So next, Mrs. Sabilton's reaction. While they were discussing at the same time, Mrs. Sabilton finished her work and she came down. The girl's aunt, Mrs. Sabilton, always thought that they would come back someday. They would come through that window along with their dogs as they used to. So Mrs. Vera added one more thing also. Mrs. Sappleton thought that they all three, means her husband and two brothers, would come back from this window, and their dog also. She had a hope to come back then. That was why the window was kept open every evening till it was dark. So for that hope, we always kept this window open, and we hope that they would come any day from this window. So till dark or till late night we kept this open. Early in the morning to till late night we kept this window open. The aunt often told the girl how they went out. Sometimes Vera too had a feeling that they would walk through that window. He said, Aunt hope that they will come, and I myself also, Vera said that I also hope that if one day they definitely will come back. That's why we always keep this window open. So this way she told him a story, tragic story. Mrs. Sabilton's arrival. So Mrs. Sabilton, she was working some work on upstairs. So she came down. She came to know that someone was waiting downstairs for a meeting with her. So she came down. Meanwhile, Mrs. Sabilton entered the room and apologized for coming late. So Mrs. Sabilton came and said sorry because she was late. She got late, and Mr. Nettle was waiting for a long time. So she hoped that the open window did not bother Mr. Nettle. She told him that her husband and brother would come home straight from shooting. She also said that if you don't have any objection, so shall we keep this window open? So yes, Mr. Nettle said that yes, and she also added that my husband and two brothers will come from this window. They would enter the house through the open window. They had gone to shoot birds in the marsh, so they would spoil the carpet as their shoes would be muddy. So she said that they went for shooting and in a marshy grassland. So when they will come back, so definitely their shoes means their shoes also having a lot of mud, so they if they will come inside, so they spoil or they spoil this that carpet. That's why I kept this window open. So they had gone to shoot birds in the marsh, so they would spoil the carpet as their shoes would be muddy. She also added the same story, same thing, but she did not say that they died there or like that. But Vera added some more things because she wanted to make fun of him. So, when Mr. Nettle heard the story from Mrs. Sabilton also, so what was his reaction? Nettle's reaction. Mrs. Sabilton went on talking about the shooting and the shortage of birds. The Frampton Nettle, it was completely horrible. So Mrs. Sabilton's continued this story. They every day they are going to shooting. They are going to the forest for the shooting of the birds, and day by day the number of birds are decreasing. This way she told him one by one the stories or some facts related to the shooting. And Mr. Nettle was thinking that what will happen when they will come. So Nettle, it was completely horrible. He tried to turn the talk to a less horrible topic, but he was not fully successful. Mr. Nettle tried to change the topic of shooting and coming of this three-person, and he tried to switch over other topic, but Mrs. Stapleton again and again repeat the same thing. But he was not fully successful. He knew that Mrs. Stapleton was giving him only a part of her attention. Her eyes were directed to the window and the lawn. Mrs. Stapleton did not pay full attention on Mr. Nettle. She again and again looking toward the window, and her face expressions are like that she was waiting someone will come from that window. Nettle's fear. Nettle's fear is increasing because Vera told him that three people they died already, and if they will come, so they are not means they are just like a ghost. Mrs. Sabilton was not much interested in what Nettle was saying. Suddenly she looked towards the window. Mrs. Sabilton said with a cry that they had come at last. Mr. Nettle told, tried to change the topic, and he shared his nervousness problem or that nervousness disorder and other illness which he was suffering to the Mrs. Appleton, but Mrs. Appleton was not having any interest to listening such a illness and that nervousness disorder everything. She was again and again looking towards the window, and finally So she looked something. Suddenly she looked toward the window. Mrs. Sabilton said with a cry that they had come at last. They were in the time for tea. So she cried, she shouted, okay, they are coming, and they come on the time of tea. They looked as if they were covered with mud. And she said that their shoes, their all the clothes, they are covered with mud. Frampton Nettle trembled with fear, and Frampton listened how these three means dead people were coming from the window, and his fear increased. He became very afraid. He turned toward the girl to express sympathy. He looked toward the girl and tried to gain some sympathy, but the girl was looking through the window. But Vera also looking toward the window. There was horror in her eyes. Frampton had also a feeling of strange fear, and she was making the imitation of fear. She shows the impression on her eyes like that she is also fearing from these three people. But actually, she knows that they are not means ghosts; they are live people. So Frampton had also a feeling of strange fear. He swung round in his seat and looked towards the window. He also looking towards the window, and now what he saw, the three figure. When Mr. Nettle looked toward the window with the fear, so what he saw there? It was dusk now. Nettle saw three figures walking across the lawn towards the window. When Nettle looked there, so it was means dusk means the sun is going to set and a little bit darkness is there. So in that darkness or in that time, he saw three figures. Three people were coming towards the window. Figure walking across the lawn towards the window. They all carried guns. One of them had a white coat hung over his shoulders. A brown colored dog followed them. Whatever the descriptions Vera gave to Mr. Nettle of that three people, the same three person, one having white coat and one brown color dog also with them, and the three person, whatever the description Vera gave, the same three person were coming towards the window across the lawn. They came silently near the house. One of them sang, I say, Betty, why do you bound? And one of them, as Vera earlier told me, one of them was always used to singing the same song, I say, Betty, why do you bound? So same song he heard. So he is afraid. This Mr. Nettle feeling very fearness and afraid. Now Nettle sudden retreat. So Mr. Nettle did not understand what should I do right now. So Frampton Nettle took his stick and coat. He walked through the hall door, along the pathway, and reached the front gate. Thus he made a hasty retreat. A cyclist had to run into the hedge to avoid the collision with him. So he did not talk anything. He did not think. He did not spend a moment there, and he picked up his coat and stick and directly rushed to the main gate and came out to the front gate and reached on the pathway, and very hastily he ran on it and he hit one cyclist who was coming from the other directions. This way he was afraid. Now the figure with the coat. The figure with the raincoat came in through the window. He asked who was the man who has rushed out of the house. Mrs. Sabilton told him that he was one Mr. Nettle. When all three persons, Mrs. Sabilton's husband and two brothers, entered in the room, so they asked when we entered through the window. So at that time, one person who was sitting here, he ran. He looked us and he run from the. He ran from that gate. So who was he? So Mrs. Sabilton told. So Mrs. Abelton said that, told him that he was one of Mr. Nettle. He was an extraordinary man. He could talk only about his illness. He went away without a word of goodbye or apology. He said he came some time ago and he was continually talking about his illness, and even he did not have manners. Before going, he did not say goodbye or any apology, and he directly, as soon as he saw you all three, and he ran away from the main gate. It appeared as if he had seen a ghost, and as he was feeling or as his face expression were there, he was looking any ghost, as if he was looking a ghost near him. So this way. So girl's explanation. Girl means Vera explained them why he ran away. The girl explained that Nettle rushed out of the house because he was afraid of the dog. She said that he saw this dog, and that's why he ran away, because he was afraid of dog. He had told the girl that he was terribly afraid of dog, because she said that earlier when he came, and while I was interacting with him, so he shared one thing, he was afraid of dog. He was terribly afraid of dogs. Once a group of dogs chased him into a graveyard. He had to spend the night in the newly dug grave. Even he told that once upon a time, a group of dogs into chased him into a graveyard, and he had to spend a whole night hiding himself in a newly dug grave. The dogs were growing all around him and growling all around him, and all night many dogs or the group of dogs standing there and barking on him, but he did not come out from that grave. So these much or this way he was he was afraid of dog. So this way she told the means wrong or untrue things to the people about Mr. Nettle. And to Mr. Nettle, she told the false story or false tragic story, and this way she make fun of Mr. Nettle. And Mr. Nettle, she increased the fear of Mr. Nettle. So, dear student, I think you understood the story, the open window. Thank you.